Vampires. This mythological creature has been the metaphorical boogeyman under our bed since we were children. Even as adults, we were constantly reminded that just maybe there is something much more dangerous than those lions, tigers, and bears that Dorothy was talking about. Grab a seat and take one last glimpse at that dark closet, because today we will be debunking this terrifying creature on Mysteries Explained. We've all watched a horror film at least once in our life. Some find it to be a thrilling experience. But whether or not you're a brave soul or a scaredy cat, we all get a chill down our spine at the thought of vampires. We're all at least a little scared of this strange and terrifying creature, but what made it so scary in the first place? The Oxford English Dictionary dates back to the first appearance of the English word vampire in English from 1734, in a travelogue titled Travels of Three English Gentlemen, published in the Harleian Miscellany in 1745. An even earlier example is found in the retelling of the famous case of Arnold Payol and Peter Blagojevich in Serbia, where the London Journal of March 11, 1732 describes vampires in Hungary as sucking the blood of the living. Vampires were usually reported as bloated in appearance, and ruddy, purplish, or dark in colour. These characteristics were often attributed to the recent drinking of blood. It would be clad in the linen shroud it was buried in, and its teeth, hair, and nails may have grown somewhat, though in general fangs were not a feature. Vampires were not reported to have fangs until the early 1800s. Though the vampire is the more popular term, there have been many different accounts of similar creatures in folklore. One of these is the Manananggal. The Manananggal is a mystical creature of the Philippines, an evil, man-eating and blood-sucking monster. It is described as hideous, scary, often depicted as female, and capable of severing its upper torso and sprouting huge bat-like wings to fly into the night in search of its victims. The word Manananggal comes from the Tagalog word tanggal, which means to remove or to separate, which literally translates as remover or separator. It is said that they mostly prey on sleeping pregnant women, such as using an elongated proboscis-like tongue to suck the hearts of fetuses or the blood of someone who is sleeping. Now, I haven't heard of baby-eating vampires yet, but on the subject of blood, the Manananggal isn't too different from today's vampire, the severed torso notwithstanding. Today, however, the vampire has taken a much different appearance than the original. Changes such as pale, bloodless skin, red eyes, and really, really great hair. As many of you are probably aware, the vampire Edward Cullen from the Twilight Saga is today's most popular image, though I myself prefer the original, such as Nosferatu. However, this sparkly, sun-walking vampire is a good example of today's modern image. In just 300 years, the vampire has made a huge transformation, from dead and decrepit to sleek and suave. But where could these myths and legends possibly have originated from? Well, in 1855, the first notable explanation of a certain disease could explain this strange creature, an illness called porphyria. The cutaneous or erythropoietic porphyrias primarily affected the skin, causing photosensitivity or photodermatitis, blisters, necrosis of the skin and gums, itching and swelling, and increased hair growth on areas such as the forehead. Porphyria has been suggested as an explanation for the origin of vampire legends based upon certain perceived similarities between the condition and the folklore. In January 1964, Elle Illustrated's 1963 paper on Porphyria and the Etiology of Vampires was published in Proceedings of the Royal Society of Medicine. Later, Nancy Garden argued for a connection between porphyria and the vampire belief in her 1973 book, Vampires. In 1985, biochemist David Dolphin's paper for the American Association of the Advancement of Science, Porphyria, Vampires and Werewolves, the Etiology of European Metamorphosis Legends, gained widespread media coverage, thus popularizing the idea. The theory has been rejected by a few folklorists and researchers as not accurately describing the characteristics of the original vampire legends or the disease, and for potentially stigmatizing sufferers of porphyria. Now, I don't know about you, but the symptoms of porphyria seem to be the case of the legend. But maybe, just maybe, there could be something more out there. My name has been Dustin, and this has been Mysteries Explained. And on the next episode, we will be delving into the wolf den, on the hunt for the werewolf. Good night.